how intermittent fasting got me to 15% body fat without cutting my favorite foods or starving myself. In fact, I would argue that if you use intermittent fasting the right way, fat loss can feel effortless. I always used to get stuck around the 20 to 25% body fat range back in the day. But once I utilized fasting periods into my nutrition approach, the body fat started melting off more sustainably. Because you need to understand, when I started my fitness journey 11 years ago, intermittent fasting wasn't a thing. People used to promote eating 6 small meals per day, and that was terrible for me. I was raised in a Moroccan household in the Netherlands, so our homemade meals were heavy and flavorful. If I had to eat 5-6 times per day in small portions, I would not be able to enjoy these traditional meals. This is where intermittent fasting came into play, because instead of having 6 small meals per day, when you utilize intermittent fasting, you maybe only have 2 meals and 1 to 2 snacking moments per day. You limit your eating in the morning time so you can have a feast for lunch and dinner, while still staying within your calorie deficit, and that worked way better for my lifestyle. Even if you did not grow up in a Moroccan household like me, chances are that you also enjoy eating larger meals. Because just look at the average restaurant meal in the United States. This study found that the average main course in a fine dining restaurant in the States contains around 1,300 calories. Worldwide, the average calories of a restaurant meal was at 1,000 calories. So if you like to eat out every once in a while, good luck eating 6 meals while staying within your calories. You can benefit from an intermittent fasting structure if you want to continue living the similar lifestyle you have now while getting a leaner physique. And I will show you exactly how you can get these intermittent fasting fat loss benefits in today's video. But first, what is intermittent fasting? Contrary to popular belief, intermittent fasting is not a diet. It does not tell you what to eat. But intermittent fasting is about when you eat. Here's an easy way to think about it. Your body has 2 modes. You can be in a fed state or in a fasted state. Most of us spend almost the entire day in a fed state by having breakfast, snacks, lunch, more snacks, and dinner. In this state, you are always in consumption mode and it's more difficult to control your calories, especially if in your environment there are high-calorie foods. But if you give yourself a long enough break from eating, let's say more than 12 hours of not eating, you flip the switch to a fasted state and interesting things happen to your body that help you lose fat. There are lots of ways to do intermittent fasting. Some people only eat 1 big meal per day. Other people do alternate day fasting where they eat normally one day and fast for 24 hours the next day. But the most popular and recommended form of intermittent fasting for people looking to lose fat while building muscle is the 16-8 method. You fast for 16 hours of the day and have an 8-hour eating window. You get the benefits of intermittent fasting while still fueling your body well every day, so you can train hard in the gym and feel good in your work. A simple way most people can utilize 16-8 fasting into their routine is by simply delaying their breakfast. If your dinner meal ends at 8 p.m., your next meal can be at 12 p.m. the following day, putting a 16-hour fasting window every day into your routine. Now, you may ask yourself, why would I delay my breakfast? What is the benefit here? Can't I just count my calories and stay in the calorie deficit while still eating breakfast? Yes, you can, but here's the key thing. Intermittent fasting makes it much easier to maintain that same calorie deficit. If you lower your daily calorie intake, you will experience some hunger or increased appetite throughout the day. It's part of the process. Of course, you should not feel like you are starving, but it is normal that if you eat fewer calories, you also get to consume less of the foods you normally like consuming. Well, with intermittent fasting, you front load all of the hunger in the day in the morning time. From the time you wake up to 12 p.m., you do not consume any calories. But from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m., you have your entire daily calorie intake to work with, making it much easier to enjoy filling meals, or maybe even go out to eat while still being in a calorie deficit. And here's the cool part. Typically in that morning time during your fasting window, you do not feel like eating a big meal anyway. You may be rushing to work or have to drop your kids off at school. Also, you may have your most important meetings or deep work in the morning time. So in this busy morning fasting window, it is much easier to stick to 0-calorie drinks like water, black coffee, or tea. And then around your lunch break, you can enjoy a nice meal that you actually like consuming. There's research supporting the appetite-regulating effects of intermittent fasting as well. When most people use the 16-8 fasting method while lifting weights, they naturally get into a calorie deficit and start losing fat without even tracking their calories. So the 16-8 method is a powerful fat loss tool. Now let's look into how I structured the 16-8 method for myself and my clients to get the fat loss benefits. Because it's not just me who has seen great results using intermittent fasting. Hundreds of my clients have used this strategy as well. And most of the time, we use a protein-based intermittent fasting approach. Let me show you my example. So my feeding window is typically from 12 to 8 p.m. This means that when I wake up around 7, I fast from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. During this fasting window, I will have a cup of black coffee and water, but no calorie-containing foods. Because I am the most occupied with my work in the morning time, I actually do not even notice that I am fasting. Once 11 a.m. hits, I do notice some hunger, and this is when I take a glass of sparkling water with lemon to help blunt my appetite before it's time for the 12 p.m. lunch. This lunch typically contains 1 to 2 palms of protein, a handful cup of carbs, and 2 fists of vegetables. Every day it's a bit of a different meal based on what I feel like eating, but you can fully personalize this based on your preference, as long as you have a protein source, carbohydrate source, and vegetables. Then 3 hours after that lunch meal, I start to build up an appetite again. Then I will take a protein shake with a piece of fruit like an apple. Once 7 p.m. hits, it's time for dinner. And this will be the heaviest meal of the day, with 2 palms of protein, 2 handful cups of carbs, and 2 fists of vegetables. Again, incorporating whole foods I enjoy consuming. And then as an evening snack after dinner, I will have some Greek yogurt with fruits. This intermittent fasting structure with 2 meals and 2 high-protein snacks per day will put me around 2,000 calories with 150 grams of protein. The cool thing about it is that after the first 2 to 3 weeks of doing this approach, I do not have to track my calories anymore because you just get into a rhythm with the fasting and the portion control. I talked a lot about the benefits intermittent fasting provides for fat loss, but there are also hidden health benefits worth mentioning. The first benefit is related to your insulin sensitivity. When you fast, your body becomes more efficient at handling blood sugar. This means you have lower insulin spikes and steadier energy. So if you suffer from large fluctuations in your energy or hunger throughout the day, give fasting a try. Another benefit is related to your brain. Early research suggests that fasting boosts the level of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, also known as BDNF. Essentially, you get a cognitive function boost while fasting. I noticed this during my deep work sessions in the morning. And lastly, fasting promotes autophagy. Think of this as your body's cleansing system. Cell regeneration improves, which may even improve the health of your skin. So next to getting ripped, fasting can also be used for its health benefits. But this does not mean that intermittent fasting is magic. See intermittent fasting as a tool you can use in your fitness journey. I use intermittent fasting when I want to get leaner. Now that I am maintaining my weight, I started incorporating a regular breakfast again into my routine. Also, if you really enjoy your breakfast, you do not have to use an intermittent fasting protocol. At the end of the day, a calorie deficit, high protein intake, and lifting weights drives 95% of your fat loss progress. So if you are the type of person that prefers small, frequent meals in a day, that can still work if you are in a calorie deficit. With this video, I'm just showing you that intermittent fasting makes maintaining a calorie deficit for most people easier. Now, if you do practice intermittent fasting, can you train in a fasted state or will you lose muscle? A new 2025 study divided 28 people into 2 groups. One group trained after an overnight fast, while the second group consumed a high-carb breakfast before the workout. After 12 weeks, muscle and strength gain was similar between both groups. I personally prefer eating something before training because it makes me feel more energized. But this new study suggests it is fine to train fasted in the morning if that's what you prefer. So even while doing intermittent fasting, you can be flexible with your training timing. If you are interested in having me as your coach guiding you through how you can use intermittent fasting to boost fat loss, I recommend you apply to my one-on-one online coaching service. I will personally design your training and nutrition plan while holding you accountable throughout the process. With a personalized plan, weekly email consults, and monthly video consults, I will be by your side, making sure you see awesome progress like all of my other clients. Go ahead and apply. I'll reach out to you and we can set up a call to discuss your goals. For now, that is all for today's video. I hope you have a better understanding of how intermittent fasting works and how you can use it for better fat loss. Here above I have an awesome new video for you, so go ahead and check that out. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one.